Good afternoon, beautiful people. Originally, I said I'd be doing two and they'd be the last for today. Well, balance is found within four. So this is the fourth and final video, bringing together things and agencies and people for what needs to be done to be done. Now, I've spoken about the Slavs, the Jews, things being done for governments to come together and for doctors to come together, but I've forgotten for military and police to come together, because I've forgotten one set. As I said, as they went into countries and created their monetary systems, they created the have and have nots. And as part of the have and have not creation, there are a set of people in many of our lands which wanted no part of it. They wanted their freedom. And these people have become termed the Mafias of the world. So this is directed to you mainly, but there are others involved also. The Mafia, Sardinian and Sicilian, you all know me. I protected your children when they were in the UK from the Slavs who are trying to murder your children in the UK. The triads of China, you know me. Brother John, you will speak to those higher ups and let them know who I am. You Yakuzas of Japan, you know me. I was speaking to one of you recently and I informed you of a few things which he has now gone back to Japan to let you know of. There are other mafias of the world who know me, but the names are not necessary. You Conglos, you Berbelos, you Libyan mafia, you know me. You Libyan brothers in arms, you know me. When I was in the Libyan mountains and you flew above me in a gunship and you dipped the nose of the gunship to me before I left, you know who I am. Now you will start all coming together. So, as the militaries and the police, they do nothing and allow this to happen. They get involved and lock up those who need to be locked up. This is a time also for you mafias of the world to let go of the crime and get together and do what you originally came together to do. Protect your people and remain free in the societies being created upon your lands. You will join together with the military and the police where necessary, or you will continue in your own groups and your own coordinated, how can I put it, networks, and make sure that those who need to be got rid of are got rid of. Those who need to be locked up are locked up. You all know me, remember this. As the governments do what's necessary to arrest people, as the doctors do what's necessary to prove who needs to be arrested among certain quarters, you will all align yourselves around the world. You're already aligned around the world in a huge global network ready for this. You will start to coordinate. You will put aside your differences because you are one people, all being divided. And you will see, and you've already seen the truth of my word. So you will put aside your differences because this is for your children first, your ladies first. We, the warriors, are the shield. They are the centers of our communities. Are they not? Put aside your differences. No mafia will fight another mafia from today on. Now, as I was saying, the Middle Easterns and the Indians who are on the lands around the world, who have been moved around as dogs on a leash, as I call them in the poems, managing the assets of the Slavs and the Jews as they've created their world. They are all over South America, all over the Caribbean, all over Africa. And they have naturalized among the people. To some point, you can't tell them different from the people. Now, in the north of Brazil, one of the things that happened, by 1911, the Slavs exterminated the race of people called the Ikare Ras. 1911. And they recorded this extermination through the Golgi family. And the Golgi family, who were anthropologists, botanists, they recorded the extermination of the Ikare Ras of North Brazil. So there's no more native Amazonians in the north of Brazil since their extermination, and they've called it an extinction. The last time I checked, extinction is a natural process, is it not? But these people didn't disappear from the earth naturally. Anyway, they've recorded it, so it's there for you all to see. The Asians and the Middle Easterns are on the lands naturalized. That's one of the reasons why they move them around the world. Now you will see this in the Iliad. What do they call it? First it was the Catalogue of the Forces. This is the Magna Carta. This is when the Magna Carta started, and the reason why, the cataloguing of our forces. Then there was the redeployment of our forces around the world, as you see now having taken place through the American bases all over the world, and the movement of Asians and Middle Easterns around the world to manage their assets on their behalf. But just as I said before, unwitting slaves or traitors, many of them did not know what they were getting into when they did it. Now, much of their literature of the Middle East from Persia onwards, and of Asia from the Hindu religion onwards, is created as a way of helping the ruling classes manage the rest. So it's just a layer, it's not everyone. Now, you'll see much of the semiotics in Asian literature speaks of the spear and onwards, and it's where Shakespeare came from, by the way, and it's reconciliation to Asian literature. Now, all the semiotic symbolism in Hinduism, Sikhism, Islam, which is a combination of the Middle East and Asia, has allowed the medical systems of the West to do more. Now, you'll find that some of Galen's work, as he separated the nervous system, separated the pulmonary system, separated the diaphragm from being used, showing that the human spirit is where the use of the diaphragm comes from, and the animal-like spirit, which man has become today, is when you're not using it and you're only in your head. And this symbolism is all through Asian literature, all through Asian semiotics, which they've used. Check it for yourself. I'm giving you snippets. I've just finished a meditation. I have been up since 1 o'clock in the morning, racking my brains on how to communicate this effectively. So this is definitely the last video for a while I get on with things. Now, even though you Asians and you Middle East are being used to manage assets, manage your own people, kill your own people, especially in Aikido, many of you are unwitting. Many of you are slaves, and many of you are definitely traitors. You will all be gone. Now, one proof of this is during the 60s and 70s, the movement for the sexual revolution. This was one of the processes they used for the breaking of beauty and the breaking of love. Now, the Indians were used in this sexual revolution around the world via yoga. Now, yoga, as I said in other videos, is a system that's supposed to bring the earth in the body to balance. But what they did, in not marrying it to anything else, they brought the body to imbalance. Now, what you see through the flower power 60s and 70s in the US and all over the world, where they've moved the Asians to bring these Kundalini programs to the people. Everywhere they've gone and brought these programs, sex has proliferated, the sexual revolution has proliferated, and the breaking of our ladies, our beauties, has increased on a rapidity which is previously unknown to those movements. They were used specifically for this. And you better all start speaking the truth as these people come together, because the mafias of the world right now are getting ready to get rid of a lot of you, because this has been ordained from the universal to the nameless. And you all know who Anna is. You all know who Kal-El is. Those of you who still remember the history. And they have said this will be done. What else? The last piece. Cuba. Because I haven't mentioned Cuba and I need to. During the 60s and 70s, the revolution, which I termed fake because it had no truth in it, in one of my poems about rebellion. It was fake. Now, the traitor on that land is Fidel Castro. Now, you will find him and you will lock up that little blower. He is the reason why Che Guevara died. He gave up Che Guevara's position. He was in the hands of the Russians, which is why till today he has not been assassinated. Now, the reason why Cuba was put in this position is because at that time, many countries in the Caribbean were becoming independent. And Cuba has more people on that land than the rest of the Caribbean put together. And the Cubans are very powerful people connected. So if they had allowed Cuba to join up with the rest of the Caribbean at that time, the Caribbean would not be the place it is today. Definitely not. So, Fidel Castro, traitor, lock up that blowout straight away. The rest of you people will just do what's necessary to grow. It's also the reason why they term the best medical health system in the world to be in Cuba, because it's the testing ground for many of their processes in killing our people globally. When I was working in the corporates, one of the CEOs of a corporate company I was head of finance for went specifically to Cuba to learn about some of their processes. He can come back and apply in the NHS in the UK, in the killing of Morenos in the UK. I've been watching this, as I said, my whole life. There's so much, but I'm giving you the bits you need now to bring this to an end. This video should be the fourth and final for a while. My beautiful people, listen. The mafias, listen. Hear, do. Cuba, get up, stand up. Join the rest of the Caribbean. Remove those traitors in your land. The families of Siaga, the families of Manley, the families of all your presidents, the families of the current Bahamian Prime Minister and the previous Bahamian Prime Minister and the finance ministers who gave up your rights and have made sure you will become more slaves than you already are. Remove them. My beautiful people, one love to all.